Hey guys, my name's Stu and welcome to another one of my videos. It's December, it's 0 degrees and it's time to do December's 40-mile mixed driving efficiency test. So let's jump in the car and get things set up. Temperature is 1 degree, so it's the coldest morning we've had so far. Temperature set in 22 degrees and fan set to 1. Let's go into the car setup for the journey. So driving modes is custom, so we've got horsepower on eco, steering on sport, pedal force on normal, and energy recovery we're going for adaptive, so we're not using excessive regen when we don't need to. Let's go to MG Pilot. So drive assist system today is cruise control mode. Mode select is adaptive cruise control. Lane assist switched off because it's unreliable, unfortunately. Traffic sign recognition switched on, front collision assist switched on, and steady driving warning, moderate sensitivity, and that is all ready to go. Right, so let's get on with the journey. So I'll very quickly explain how the 40-mile round trip efficiency test works. So I drive from my location here to my place of work and back. It's about a 40-mile round trip, 20 there, 20 back. It's a mixture of different roads, mainly motorway, which we'll drive at 70. And A and B roads, like we're on at the moment. So it's a real good mixture of what I think most people will use on a daily basis. So it's a good foot in for a test. Now, as always, now temperature is set to 22 degrees with the fan speed on 1, which is more than sufficient for today. I have preheated the cabin before we got in. As you can see, we're on B roads at the moment, working our way out of this village. As you can see, it's very foggy today. We'll soon be out on that motorway. We'll see how dense the fog is then. I was outside about an hour ago and you couldn't see much further than 50 feet in front of you. Just let this car go past on the next one. And we're off. Very impatient BMW driver there. Right, we're good to go. Let's get out onto the next B road, then A, and then motorway. So I've been driving around a few B roads this morning, and the car's suspension, despite being stiffer, being a heavier car, it really soaks up those bumps. Right, so as you can see, the fog's getting a bit thicker. We're down to 0 degrees now, so freezing point, 0 degrees C. Now I'm gonna have to give the windscreen clearer a quick blast because, as you can see, it's steaming up in here. Now that's what I like. We've got the button right there, ready to hit when you need it. No jumping into menus, no deep dive just to find a small little button that does one important job. It's right here on the front, and we have the rear one here there as well. Okay, I'm going to switch that off now because we're nice and clear. I'm trying to keep this test as real to real world as possible. We've obviously got the heating on, like you saw then. We've had to have a quick blast to get rid of the condensation on the inside of the windscreen. So it's important to try and keep it as real as possible, but also work within some parameters so the tests are reasonably as close as they can be together each time. So just before we get on the motorway, let's have a look at our current consumption. So we're 2.5 miles into the journey, all B roads so far, under 30 miles per hour, and we are at 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Right, efficiency's just very quickly showed up on the screen, but now it's gone back off, which was a kilowatt of driver's use. I don't think it shows any data until you've got to that first kilowatt hour. Oh, and there's a transporter full of MGs. I think there's an MG4 on there. We'll have a quick look when we go past. So let's get up to speed. Yeah, a lot of HS's on there, but I think the white one at the bottom in the middle, yes, is an MG4. So someone's getting their white MG4 by the look of it. Could be a long range, but it's an SE spec. Okay, right, let's lock in 70 miles per hour. So we're back up to 1 degree now in the temperature. Very thick fog and dense coming up. I can just barely make out the bridge coming up towards us. And we're now approaching the 5 mile mark. So we're a quarter through the first leg. And we're currently at 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. We've used 2 kilowatt hours of energy so far. As you can see, the fog's getting a lot more dense now. I'm going to come back into the middle lane, let these cars behind go past us. Try and maintain that 70. Just the one car coming past, so we should be able to jump back out and go around this Toyota Hilux. So temperature's back down to 0. Back down to 3's in, and now back up to 1 again. I've got a feeling that's going to be a familiar story on this route. So just worth pointing out, at the moment we're on generally a flat level grade, and we're using about between 13 and 15% of power to maintain 70 miles per hour. Seems to be fairly low, so that's quite good. We're now up to 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. There is a little bit of wind outside. You can feel it slightly moving the car, but not sufficient enough to really, I think, make a huge impact. But very quiet, as you can hear. The road noise is very, very low. You can barely hear any of the traffic, which is great. It's a great sound insulation in the MG4. It's always nice to do these tests in different conditions. If we use the same conditions every time, it'd be a little predictable and a little bit boring. So it's nice that we got some fog to play with today. So we're at the halfway point at 10 miles. Our consumption is at 2.7 miles per kilowatt, so efficiency's gone up a little bit. Temperature is at 1 degrees. Energy consumption is at 4 kilowatt hours. The other good thing about this 40 mile round trip test is whatever conditions or change in landscape, because we do the same test going backwards, we are almost making it as fair as we possibly can. But the MG4 is sitting lovely on the road, nice and comfortable, pretty quiet, just munching the miles. Right, so we're at the 3/4 mark of the first leg, and we're currently using 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. We've used 5 kilowatt hours of power so far on the journey. Temperature 1 degrees. We've still got the fog hanging around, but it seems to have cleared a little bit towards this latter part of the journey. Although where we're heading today, there's a few rivers there, so I expect it to be a bit more dense, but we'll see. I mean, this car, it could just sit here all day, just eating these miles. It's so comfortable. It'll quite easily do this all day long. So efficiency is getting better. We're up to 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour. I expect that to get closer to 3 once we get to our destination, once we have a bit of slower traffic to work in. It's crazy though. You look either left or right of us right now and you just can't see beyond the barrier at the side of the road. It's just a thick fog. But yeah, as I thought, the fog's getting thicker again. So a bit of regen there, that'll help the efficiency numbers, and as we can see, we've gone up to 2.9 kilowatt hours. That's a cracking Christmas tree outside Porsche. Loads of Taycans in the charging area there. Just to remind you, I'm driving this car exactly how I would drive any other car on a day like today. Same amount of acceleration, same amount of braking. I'm not trying to hypermile or accelerate very, very slowly to conserve energy. I'm just driving it as normal as I possibly can. And there we have it. So we got 19.8 miles on distance covered, 24% battery remaining. We've got 2.9 miles of kilowatt hour average usage for the journey. We've used 6 kilowatt hours in power. No registration of power used for other consumables yet, but I'm sure we would have used some for the air conditioning and the heater. But I don't think that's a bad result, considering it's 1 degrees. Obviously it fluctuated between 1 and 0 at the beginning, but I think that's a pretty good effort. So we'll see what the journey's like this evening on the way back for the second leg of the 40-mile round test, and see if we can repeat the same efficiencies or even better, because it hopefully should be a bit warmer then. And if you enjoyed what the videos we're making here, please don't forget to like the video and obviously subscribe as well. And stay tuned to the end of the video, because we will be comparing these figures with the Tesla Model 3. So getting ready for the return leg. The car's nice and warm because I've preheated it. As you can see, the temperature is 22 degrees and on fan 1 inside the car. Outside temperature is 5 degrees, which is warmer than this morning, which was 0/1 degrees. The trips reset to 0. So let's just quickly set the car up into driving, custom setup. We're gonna have it on adaptive. MG Pilot, all the same settings as this morning. So we are ready to go. So let's get on the consumption screen. Okay, so battery is at 73%. Suggesting a range of 117 miles. All right, let's pop it in reverse. And away we go. The return leg of the 40-mile round mixed driving trip. So B roads for now until we get to the motorway junction in a minute. Hopefully the traffic is good to us. Right, so nearly on the motorway. Just looking up and down it, it looks relatively quiet. Remember, I'm not trying to hypermile or drive gently. I'm driving as normal as I would do if I was in any car, whether it's a petrol, diesel or electric. Okay, nearly at 70 and we're going to engage. And we're going to engage the adaptive cruise. Okay, 5 miles into the journey, we are at 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. We've used 2 kilowatts of power for driving. 69% remaining on the battery and 109 miles in range on the GOM. Okay, so the efficiency is getting better. It's 2.7 miles to kilowatt hour now. And the MG4 is just cruising at 70. It'll do this all day long. Nice and comfortable as well. It's a good place to be. And the headlights are pretty good on the car. There's good visibility. Got auto main beam on, which in my opinion has been working quite well. I've been out driving through lanes and it seems to activate and deactivate when it needs to fine without dazzling any oncoming traffic. I'd love to hear if you've used it yourself. What's your experience like with it? I know it can be a bit hit and miss with many cars. So coming up to the halfway point of this second leg. So we're on a bit of an incline at the moment, using 30% power. But that will start coming down as we go onto a bit of a decline just after the brow of this hill. Past this lorry. Let's move across. Down to 13% power now. So we're at the 10 mile point, which is the halfway of the second leg. We're currently still at 2.7 miles per kilowatt. We've used 3 kilowatts of power, which sounds about right according to this morning's journey. Going downhill now, so we should hopefully see an improvement in that efficiency. Down to 4% of power. So that shows you just how much of a decline we're on. And now we're plateauing back out again. So we now used 4 kilowatt hours of power to drive this route. So it's 64% of battery remaining, 100 miles on the gong. There's definitely a lot of headwind, you can feel it against the car. I'm not sure you can pick it up on the mic. Even the smallest bits of wind will make a difference, but of course we've got no control over the weather, we just have to deal with it. And at the moment we're doing well, we're pushing on. Car's sitting really nice at 70. Nice comfortable drive. So we're at 5 kilowatt hours of power used for the journey so far. Coming up towards the 15 mile mark. Still on 2.7 kilowatt hours per mile. Definitely still some fog lingering, but we're still at 5 degrees Celsius. So we've got a bit of traffic up ahead, but we are approaching our exit. So I'm just going to move over, ready to go around these guys. So what a difference it makes just coming down in speed a bit. Our average consumption has now gone up to 2.9 from 2.7. Now it's up to 3. So not far from our destination now. We're up to 3 miles per kilowatt hour. 61% battery, 96 miles remaining, and still on 5 kilowatts of power used. I'm sure that's going to change to 6 any minute now. The speed recognition doesn't know whether it wants to be 60 or national speed limit. This 40-mile loop which I do, it's got a really good mixture of different roads, different speeds. I think it kind of caters for every driving circumstance. So we are up to 3.1 miles per kilowatt. And I can see that only going up now we're in traffic. And we've moved on to 6 kilowatt hours of power used. No allocation on there on here for third-party things like consumer goods, air conditioning. Well, this is when adaptive cruise control is good, so let's engage that. Let the car do the accelerating and the decelerating. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go left here. And back in some more traffic. Right, back up to 30. But still 5 degrees. We left with 5 degrees and looks like we're finishing with 5 degrees. Oh, a nice bit of palm in there. And this is us. Right, so let's have a look at the figures and see how we've done. So as you can see in front of you, we've used 6 kilowatt hours of power to drive this journey, this second leg of the 40-mile loop. And if you look here, with total time 27 minutes, 19.9 miles, 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and we finished with 96 miles and 60% battery. So there's more energy used this morning, probably because of the colder temperatures, and that shows in the figures. I know the last time we did this test, the first leg was the more efficient route, so I think that backs up that idea there. So what have we learned from this efficiency test? The car tells us we travelled 46 miles, but we did travel 39.7, so not far off. That's not too bad. Or we can look at battery percentage wise, and the car suggested we used 26%, but we actually used 24%, give or take. Actually, the last time we did this test, when it was 15 degrees C outside, we actually used 21% of the battery, so we used actually 3% less battery. But the take from this is that even at 0 degrees Celsius, the car wasn't much more inefficient. But before you go, I've got one more thing to show you. And I actually did the same route a couple of days later, but with a Tesla Model 3. Same temperatures again in the morning, and which was 0 degrees Celsius. And let's have a look at the efficiencies of the Tesla Model 3 versus the MG4. So you can see the Tesla data on the right, and we did a distance of 20 miles using 6 kilowatts of energy and 309 watt hours per mile, which works out roughly at 3.24 miles per kilowatt hour, which is more efficient than the MG4. But as you can see, the journey was longer, and the Tesla Model 3 wasn't preheated either before the journey. So on the return leg, the Tesla did it in 315 watt hours per mile, which works out roughly at 3.17 miles per kilowatt hour. So not too far away from the MG score, but do remember it was 5 degrees Celsius on the return leg for the MG4, and it was -3 Celsius for the Tesla Model 3. And even though the Tesla did urinate on the MG4's fire, just remember the Tesla Model 3 long range is nearly £30,000 more than the MG4's SE standard. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. And if you do enjoy the content, please do like and subscribe, and also tell everyone about it. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.